Hello. Good morning. Welcome back. I want to continue our conversation from yesterday. So, yesterday, I'm telling you that I want to you guys know me more. Okay. So, we are in this platform. We are trying to see if we have things in common. And I think that all the women, have something in common. We have some traumas in our childhood, or we have some kind of situation, personal situations, but someone overcoming them faster than others. And something that I want to tell you today is that when I made the decision to move from Puerto Rico to Florida and leave everything there and start all over again with my husband, I also made the decision to be blessed and be blessed and be safe. So when I was putting yesterday together the title of this video, I thought in blessed is she who believes. And I'm going to make reference to the Bible. So Luke 1:45. When you go there and you hear it, blessed is she who believes, this is what happened when I decide to follow what my heart was telling me that moment to do. Hi, once again, thank you so much. My name is Rosalina Skilling. I'm the real estate empress. I'm also the CEO businesswoman, but I want to be today, yesterday, and for the following coming videos, be myself, letting you know how everything started, how I made the huge decision of the transition to move from Florida, from Puerto Rico to Florida. What was that journey for me and my family, and how even my childhood affected all my decisions. I want to be honest with you guys, because when I was noticing that the videos that I was making, it was just the outcome. After I'm here in Florida, I never told you guys how everything started. And I think that's the best way that we can connect it. I think that that's the best way for you to see the what I have been done here in Florida, like the real estate, since 2006 when I came over here, and opening two offices, running and having like approximately 500 agents under my offices, trying them move. Pretty much, it was a girl's office. So if I had to say that in 99% of my office, it was girls. So how I have been that person that helps women to move on, to grow. But the only way that I can do that is remembering the things that I have been living in my life, where I come from, what have been the situations, what have been my modifications, my encounters with myself, how I determined to trust and just see exactly what I'm looking for and not what is outside there. How can I keep myself focused and exactly what I want is exactly what I'm going to get? And when I make this video, I made the video yesterday, blessed is who believe. There were so many things that I had to believe. When before I met my husband, I went to the doctor and a gynecologist, and she told me that I have a severe case of endometriosis, that I would not be able to have kids. I remember that day. I remember the document, and I remember that when she says that, I automatically stopped that doctor um, information. I did not accept that. I said that it's impossible that God will not allow me to have kids. I put a stop. I says, if I'm perfect, if I'm God's daughter and he make us right through his image, why I should have this situation, this condition. I'm healthy. I'm not a alcoholic, or I have been treated bad my body or things like that. The women in my family, the only things that they have is some ovary situation. I think one of my aunts has just one ovary, and she has 3 kids. So she has kids. Why I cannot have kids? So the thing is that I shut down that information and I just listened, but I didn't receive it. I didn't put it myself. I never accepted. I blocked it out. Times passed, and then I met my husband. But when I met him, I was in this transition, very emotional, because I came from a very bad relationship. I was also using some kind of antidepressants that the psychiatrist told me to take for have my hormones and all my brain, right, my brain chemicals on track. One of the things that happened is that even I was taking care of my mental health in that moment, I always know that it was not going to be forever. I understand that I never put myself first. I came from a very tough childhood. Even I was not abused or sexually abused, I was verbally abused. I had been seeing things at home that I didn't like it. My parents, they were always fighting. My dad was an alcoholic, a cheater, of verbal abuse. He always used words to threaten my mom and myself, to put us down. And when you're a kid and your dad is your first love, is that guy that's supposed to be protecting you, and he was not always that way. I remember when he was this super kind lover dad that bring me a doll and a lollipop pretty much 2 or 3 times a month. But one day he decided to leave. One day he decided to leave my mom, my brother, my second brother, my brother, because we have another brother that he passed. But anyways, we talk about that later. And now I have this abandonment wound as a child. Now I see my mom working, the alpha woman, has to go out and work with whatever she has on that moment to use her capabilities. Why? Because she always wanted to be a nurse, but my dad never let her to study nursing. So she in Puerto Rico, she was a private school boss, if you want to see it that way. She was the chauffeur, right, the driver. So she has her friend tell her how to do it. My grandpa get her the bus, and she gets some kids, and at 5 o'clock in the morning we all have to wake up, so myself and my little brother, because she has to go and do the route to take the kids to school. Now my family, that was supposed to be my main focus, right, where we're supposed to be like centralized, we're supposed to be growing in this stable home with everything that we need, is not stable anymore. My dad is not there. My dad is not living at home. My dad leave. What happened in the marriage, I still doesn't know. It's something that even many years happened. They still together, but I never know what was the reason. I can think, But I remember that the other day I was listening to Dr. Dispenza, and he says 50% of our memories is information that we created. It's not exactly what it happens. So after I learned those kind of stuff, that our brain start connecting dots and create the story that is more appealing to what we are feeling, I try to avoid to do that. And I had to say yesterday and today and even last night, I start unpacking things that happens to me that I put it under the rug. Why? Because I said, and I always says, I have to protect myself. And I know that when I found my husband, I didn't want to contaminate my relationship. I want to come to this relationship as more wise woman possible. Okay. And with an open heart, open arms, giving to me the opportunity to be, I would say, so, so much, oh my gosh, grateful and thinking that everything belongs to me. Okay. So if I had that opportunity, I need to grab it. So when I was growing up, my dad is not at home. He's an alcoholic. We have an unstable home because my mom has to work. He's not at home. We're supposed waiting, we're expecting child support. Never happened. So I don't know how many of you can relate it with this. Dad is not at home, alcoholic. Every time that he comes, it was a fight. Every time that he comes, it was a problem. So how can I be emotionally stable, continue going to school, having good grades? Because then nothing, people expectations, my aunt, my grandpa, even my mother, it was that I supposed to be continuing my education and doing the things that I had to do as my responsibilities as a girl, being performing perfectly. When those people around me are not doing any perfect. They were far from being perfect. They were far for me to feel secure. So I have wounds of abandonment, insecurity, no worth it, frustration, not important, so no worthy, no deserve it. How can I see other families doing everything good and we don't have it? What happened? It happens because it was me. Because by the time that he left, as much I can remember, says remember, that's the story. I can remember that I was very young. So I don't know, he left twice. But the one that was very strong for me is the one that I remember a few stuff. I remember that he got the car, put it inside of the house because he was a very, very aggressive guy when he used to be an alcoholic. And how can you feel safe when your dad can come and break the house? When your dad comes to try to go physical with your mom? Now, how can I feel about the guys? How can I feel that a husband is a person that we can trust? Because that's the person that you sleep with. That's the person that you decide to have your life with. That's the person that you're raising your kids with. So how is that this relationship is embedded in myself, in my childhood, in my woman-like things, in my future, my beliefs? We were raised as a Catholic. Catholics. But my aunt was Jehovah's Witness. And I had been involved in both of them. Knowing and seeing this situation at home, and I have a baby brother, and my mom is struggling. Things are not secure at home. My grandpa has to help us out. My aunt has to help us out. My dad is not giving any money of child support. I saw my mom get all his clothing and making an amazing fire. But it was crazy when that happened. And I always thought that it was not funny. It was something that made me very depressed because I don't know why she made that decision. In all this situation, I'm a girl. I'm a young girl. I don't know what is happening. But there was so much tension in the house, so much situations in the house that the only way that I can escape it was to the house of my best friend. And every time that we finished school, I told my mom, "Okay, can you drop me here and come and pick me up later?" And I go in there. Why? Because she has a stable household, mom, dad, and her brother and sisters. So I was happy. I was looking for that security, right? Because when I go back home, everything is a chaos. And I don't know how to deal with that. Times pass. My mom, I don't know, she got pregnant. I told you that we were Catholics, right? So you know that Catholics has this in marriage counseling and marriage retreats. So they decide to go to the marriage retreat for a weekend. And she came with a surprise that she was pregnant of my baby brother. What I was super upset. The only thing that I was able to think is how is possible in the world that she decided to have another baby. For me, it was a crazy decision. It was the most child, child, childish decision ever. For me at that moment, I thought that my mom wasn't ready to even to be married or have kids. I think that she wasn't mature enough to make the correct decisions. She says that she was protected, right? She has this, they call it the koi by that time, the little piece that they have internal placed by the doctor, but it moves, but it wasn't there. I have been hearing many, many, many stories about that. It also says that the baby comes with the pills in the hands, so whatever. So if the baby has to come, the baby has to come, right? It's something that God decided to. She made something God decided. But at the end is we are now dealing with this guy coming back home as a king, as the alpha, because she put him back in his position. He's your dad, you had to respect. You had to honor him, right? And now we have another baby. But this is what happened. After all that situation comes, the new baby come. We were super happy. And the baby was born almost 10 years in difference. So he was born in June. I will turn 10 years in September. So the baby was there, super cute. The baby was born and my dad was drunk again. My mom was in the bathroom having contractions. Her water broke or break. She was in the bathroom calling my aunt to come and pick her up and take her to the hospital. My baby brother was born in the elevator, getting out of the elevator because she doesn't want to go with him, my dad, to the hospital because he was drunk. So now we have another kid in this relationship. How can I trust in relationships, in marriage? The thing is that I didn't focus myself on what was happening at home because I had been seeing other kind of relationships out of my house. So in this house, these people doesn't have the maturity or the behaviors to deal with the marriage. For some other places they do. But another thing that I told you before is that I was raised with by the Catholics, but at the same time with the Jehovah Witnesses with my aunt. They teach you family, the beauty of the family, the composition, the peace, the harmony, the the way that you raise your kids under Jehovah guidance. And you see how this kind of family that we used to go and to a Jehovah Witness hall and see this couple family happy, the kids were happy. There was a completely different than what I see at home. So that gave me a hope that I can do something in the future that is normal, right? So, but not just that. When the time comes, thanks for the Jehovah Witnesses, I never took the decision to take my life. And I was flirting with that idea a lot. And I remember the day that I was thinking to do that. I was 15 years old. I was tired. I was tired to see the same thing at home because I told you that he was an alcoholic, but I told you that he was a cheater. So at home, my mom was very friendly with one of the neighbors. She was my dad' mistress. And it's like, come on, she let you to come back to have your family. And you're doing this? Really? It's like, how much respect do you have to your family? What is supposed to be yours, that you're supposed to be taking care of with, with so much love and pride. So I have a baby brother that I had to take care of it because my mom has to be taking care of her husband behavior. So she become my dad, um, private investigator, PI. She was behind him all the time. She was pretty much her, but his bodyguard. What is he doing? Where is he? No, he cannot be by himself. I need to be there. I had to be this, doing this, doing this, doing this. At 7, 8 years old, I was cooking for my kids, my gosh, for my brothers and for my parents. Because why? She need to go and see what he was doing. When I met my husband, oh, I carry all that information and I went to a very, I would say, stupid relationship for a few years that he wasn't an alcoholic. He ended out to be drinking. When I met him, he wasn't drinking. But it was this relationship, it ends, thanks God. But it made me so small. He brought to me so much wounded, so much wound. I was reliving the whole thing again. That I decided to take care of myself, and then I have a friend that made me to meet my husband. When I meet this guy and I know him and I trust God, because I told you in the meantime, I was continue studying with the Jehovah Witnesses, the Bible. I was getting the Elijah. I was trying to get something that gave me hope because I know that at the end, I'm going to leave this household and I'm going to do my stuff. But how can I make the transition and not allow that all that thing that happened damage my future? I don't know if you haven't feel this way. I don't know who I'm talking with, but it's not worth it. It was their relationship. They did as much as they can with whatever they have in that time as a maturity and commitment, love, and knowledge. I cannot judge them. Um, my parents living with me, they still together. They're living with me here in Florida. But I decide to be happy. I decide to leave my fairy tale. I believe in that. And I believe in the kids. Remember, I told you that I have endometriosis. I cannot have kids. And I stopped and I said, no, God, I believe in you. I trust you. I'm gonna have kids in the future. When I ready, I'm gonna have them. The thing is that when we start putting things together, when I met Jose, my husband, I trust God at the level that I put everything back. I made peace with myself. I made peace with my parents. Everything was right there. It was a pass. I don't know how much. I don't know how much of that information is correct. I don't know how much information my brain put it together to make that this huge story. But one thing I was certain, even I didn't know Dr. Dispenza, that Dr. Dispenza says your body and your mind and your heart are connecting with your past. That's why you feel as a victim. I don't want to be a victim because a victim person is the one that feel wounded, limited, stopped, with resentment, hate, um, unloved, unworthy. So I had to get that I didn't know by that time. I just make it because I thought in that time maybe God was telling me that it was a download, but I didn't know it that way. It is this kind of religions are very by the book, right? The one that we know now is completely different. It's very open. It's like it's manifestation. It's a connection with God, and you can read, you can understand, you can hear it, you can use it, right? On your benefit. You're more alert. You're believing in your God. You're believing in every single cells in your body. So by that time, I made the decision, not completely aware of what I was doing, trust God, right? And then I says, I believe that in the future I will have everything that I wanted. I met my husband. I was trusting God. I start learning to know the guy. I trust the guy. And I noticed when I saw him that day in that situation of frustration, I know how much he loves me and love his daughter. Because let me tell you, When I went to church, it was another stage in my life. I went and I get baptized as a Christian with this very famous pastor in Puerto Rico. Oh, that was a big problem. I remember that my dad is very, I don't know, strong, right? It's too macho. It's whatever he said has to be. I had this car that they bought it for me. I used the car to go to church that he doesn't want me to go. The car get damaged. You know that he didn't came to pick me up. He left me there for 3 hours, waiting for someone to go and pick me up. For me to not to go to church. And I says, you know what? I'm going to church because I'm not doing anything wrong. And that's my calling. I feel that play was my calling. You know what the pastor starts saying um after finishing the praying? He says, if there are any woman here that she believes to have kids and the doctor had give it to you already, your diagnostic that you cannot have kids, I want you to put your hands in your womb and you're going to believe with all yourself that you can have kids. Guys, and I did it day after day after day after day. My circumstances, my past, my family, my stuff will not stop the things that God has for me. That was a teaching process. I cannot hate everything that happened. No, it was for me to learn what kind of guy I'm going to select for my husband that is going to be the stronger part in my kids' life, in my life. I want a guy that represents me. I want that guy that when I say he is my husband, I feel so proud of him as the same way that he's going to feel proud of me when he says she is my wife. When I and we decide to move forward, when we decide to have a kid, the first try, we have our baby girl. I always trust God for this. I always put God in front of my stuff. I want to make a pray for you. And I want you to think about this. No matter what happened in your life, if you're making the decision to move for a better with your family, trust God. Take take the time to do it. Take the risk. I know that if you have your calling already, it's going to happen. Even you think that it's not, you don't know how to do it, you know how to do it. You just had to make the decision. This is the time for you to do it. And I want you to think that if you had to make the decision, just trust God. Put everything that you have been thinking in plans. Say what you have. Say what you believe. And I would like to pray this for you. And it says, Heavenly Father, I pray for every woman watching this right now, if she is feeling lost or afraid to take a leap of faith, give her determination and the hope that she needs. Let her feel the same calling I felt. I pray for her marriage, for her children's, and her peace. May she find the courage to trust you 1,000% so she can walk into the happiness and the future that you have prepared for her. In Jesus' name, amen. I want you to believe that all the possibilities are in front of you. Just make the decision. Just put yourself in your best behavior. Put yourself in the expectation to receive everything now. We have been learned by Just Dispensa and Rhonda with The Secret that we had to have the most and the best emotional peace to receive whatever we wanted. And it doesn't matter if you don't feel it right now, just do it with the expectation to receive it. It will come. Try to control yourself, try to control your nervous system, try to control those thoughts that until now haven't done anything good for you. Trust God, and I promise you, you will have an amazing life. You can right now use a blank canvas and start building the life that you want. And I promise you that you're going to see it crystal clear. And you will turn your life around and you're going to say, God, thank you. Because you never let me by myself. You always was there with me. You just need to trust. You remember the when we talk about that faith is a little seed of mustard? It's going back to sorry, I read it down. I don't want it to. It's twice on the Bible. It's by Matthew 17:20 and also by Luke 17:6. Two times in the Bible says, have faith as little as a mustard seed. I think if I do not remember, it's the most smallest seed of any spice or whatever in the world. So it's that small, the faith that we had to have. And I also want to tell you this. My closing statement for you, I want you to have this from this video. If you're watching this and you feel like you're at zero, please don't lose heart. I was there. I feel the scare, the uncertainty, and the weight of my family future in my shoulder. But I decided to change my energy and beliefs that that a better life was waiting for me here in Orlando. Like I said in my video, Luke 145, blessed is she who believes. I believe, I move, and God restored everything. If He did it for me, He can do it for you. Change your thought, trust 1,000% in Him, and watch your life change. See you tomorrow. Take care.